Welcome to another episode of my construction videos. What I do on this channel is to make a video on construction knowledge that people outside there might need, probably the client, people working on construction site, the quantity surveyor, the civil engineer, the architect, what they might need in construction. So I make videos on construction works. So in this video, I'll be taking you through the process of creating a bill of quantity. So I'll be preparing a bill of quantity in this video. So I will just use a bungalow just for you to now have an idea of how a bill of quantity is being prepared. So I'll be using a bungalow and I'll be working on a strip foundation. So at the end of the video, if you find the video interesting, you can give me a like and subscribe to the channel so you'll be one of the first people to be notified whenever I upload something useful. So join me in the video and let's begin. So I'll be making use of this drawing for the bill of quantity preparation. So I said we want to prepare a bill of quantity. So this video is about preparing a bill of quantity, just for you to have an insight of how a bill of quantity is prepared. So this is the drawing we want to use. So this drawing just contains the foundation details alone. So this is the proposed building, this is the entrance gate, a proposed building, and this is the future development. So this is where we want to work on. So if you come down, this is the plan view. Let me zoom it a little bit. This is the plan view of what we want to do. So this is the entrance. This is an arc here, so it's not a block work, just a mistake. So this is an arc here. This is the balcony. This is the entrance to the room. This is the living room. This is a 3-bedroom flat. This is the visitor's toilet. From here you have the master bedroom, which have its own toilet, and the other 2 rooms are also in suite. This is the store. This is a lobby here. This is also an arcade. This is the dining, and you have the kitchen, then the exit door outside there. So this is what you want to do. And if I come down, this is the foundation layout. So I have the foundation layout of the foundation here, and this is the section of the foundation layout, the section of it. So we are going to be using this drawing to produce a bill of quantity. So okay, this is it here. I've done it before. If you can check, I've done it and I've printed it before, but I'm going to be creating a new one here. I'm going to be creating a new one, so where we can just input everything and have our own. So let's just start. Let's dive into the video and let's start. So I'm going to be creating a new one here. So let's just start. The first thing we always have there is the item. Then let me check. Have the item, the description, the quantity, the unit, item, description, the quantity, the unit of what you are doing, the rate, and I can have the total amount here, or I can just say it is amount. And then I can just increase the size of the ones I need to increase the size. So I can just give it some touches to make it more presentable. So the first thing we need to do is the preliminary on site. So when you get to the site, so let's say this site probably is covered with bush or is a waterlogged area that you need to fill. You understand? So you need to fill those costs are included in the preliminary. So preliminary are costs that you cannot put in the bill of quantity, that you just ascribe a sum to it. So from the one I have before, look at it, I label it B1, then the preliminary. Let me just copy it to make it faster. I can copy it, I paste it there, use this. And paste it here. So I can still give you some touches that will make it more presentable, Let's assume we get to the site and the site is occupied with bush. We have bush on the site, so one of the things we need to do is clearing of the bush on the site. So I can say clearing of bushes on site. That's number one. Then the second part, I can say, okay, after clearing the bushes and some of the trees on the side, then probably we have to purchase of line for setting out. Have to purchase lines and wood for setting out. So I can also include water, because we are going to need water when we are working. So I can include water, and every other thing you think you can include that you cannot add in the bill of quantity, so you add them under preliminary. So I can just come and give it a provisional sum. So you see, if you check the one I did before, purchase of pegs for setting out, purchase of line, and every other thing. So you can just come and give it a cost. A cost, is going to be well looked. So I can just come and say, okay, let me say all this work is going to cost me, let's say 500. So I have it there, that's the amount. So I can put a carry to summary. So at the end of this video, I'm going to show you where the summary is. So we are going to talk on that also. So I think this is the bill one. The preliminary most of the time is more than this. So for the sake of this video, that's why I just decided to stop at C. So probably let's assume the building is a story building. You need to provide for bamboos, if you are doing your scaffold. So you can still write it down, provision of bamboo and every other thing you need, you need, and it's not, you cannot quantify for it in the bill. Although you can quantify for it, but it will not be in the main bill. Understand what I mean? So let's go to the bill to not waste time on the preliminary. So I can copy this and start my bill 2, paste bill number 2. So after clearing of the site from rubbish and bushes and probably of filling, depending on the condition you made the site, then we'll start our foundation work. So foundation work, call it substructure. You can decide to call it foundation work also. Foundation, yes, I can say it is strip foundation, because on the land I'm going to use strip foundation. It's a bungalow, and let me assume the ground bearing capacity is okay to support the load of the structure. So I'm going to use a strip foundation in that case. Underline this. So I'm going to use a strip foundation. So I'm done with this. Now let me use this. Okay, I'm coming to this place. This is the foundation layer. So I need to excavate. That's the first thing I need to do on site. If I want to do my bill of quantity, or I want to start work after preparing the site, then I need to do my excavation. So I need to excavate. What volume of quantity or what depth do I need to excavate to? I cannot get that. I can only get the length to which I will the length I can excavate, the length of what I want to excavate. I can only get that from the building. So this foundation layout is gotten from this ground floor plan. So you can see it. I said my foundation will come through this way. If you follow my cursor, you're going to cover this area, then cover this area, and I still have a foundation here, then it covers this area, and this area. That's why you have this. So I got this from the floor plan. You understand? So here I can calculate all the length I'm going to excavate. If you add all this length together from the previous one I did, okay, looking at it, okay, I said excavation of trench. So let me just copy it so it will make my work easy. Copy, I put this here, paste, so I can put an underline and copy the whole of this. Then I will use it to explain instead of typing on. So I have this here, excavation of trench. The first thing I need to do after preparation of the site, just like I've said, is to excavate for my foundation. So excavation to a depth of 500 mm below the ground surface. Now, how do I know it is 500 mm? I come to my section here. So what I have above the ground surface is 600. So the architect is going to give me this from the natural ground surface of the site to my DPC level, the top of my DPC, the architect said is 600. So the engineer will be the one to tell me the depth at which I'm going to go from the ground surface to the depth to a suitable strata below the ground. So let me assume that is 500. So I want to excavate for the trench. I'm going to excavate this whole area. If you are following my cursor, let me move it a little bit. So I'm going to excavate this whole area, 450 by this depth. I'm going down. Let's say this depth is 500 by 450. That's what I'm going to. Then by the length of the of what I'm doing, by the total length, that's how I'm going to get the volume of what I want to excavate. So to get the volume of that, so if you add all those lengths together, you are going to get 96.1. Depending on the drawing you are using, you can also practice this as well. So 96.1 after adding all this length together, all this, like, got 96.1. Then the width is 450. The width of what I'm going to excavate is 450. So I have a length of 96.1, the width of 450 mm, and the depth of 500. From what I said here, the depth of 500 and this width. So from that, I can decide to use my calculator and do the calculation. So it's going to be 96.1, then multiply by 0.45, multiply by 0.5. So I'm going to have 21.6. Let's say this is 21.7, right? So this is the quantity. So 21.7. So the unit will be in meter cube. Let me just copy that. Unit will be in meter cube, and the rate. So depending on the area, you can just say, let's say it's 2000 naira. So I can decide to put all this. I love it being in the middle, you know. So I like it being in the middle. So let me increase this. Okay. So my volume is 21. Then the rate at which the dog 1 meter cube of excavation, 1 meter cube of excavation is 2000 naira. So I'm going to get the top cost here. So to get that, instead of multiplying through my calculator and putting it, I can just use the formula from Z equals to sum of this, then multiply by this, then enter. So it's going to give me the sum. It's going to give me, I have this. So the sum of the amount I'm going to spend for my excavation is 43.4. So if I decide to increase this to 25 now per meter cube, I'm going to have this. If I decide to increase it to 3000, I'm going to have this. After your excavation, you're going to have a trench here, you know. So you need to compact the base of this trench. So assume I have included that in my preliminary. So I'm not going to be compacting. But if I'm not going to compacting, the next thing I will do is to provide for blinding, is to do my blinding on the surface. So I'm going to do blinding. That is plain situ concrete. So let me just go ahead and copy what I have here. So I'm going to do my blinding, which is to provide a plain in situ concrete. So the plain in situ concrete is going to cover the whole area that my what's it again? That my trench went through. You know, my trench went through all this area. So my blinding is going to cover all this. Just that the depth of the blinding is now 50 mm, is not 500. So if you take a look at this, I can still input this. I have this here. So I said the depth now is now 50 mm. The depth is now 50 mm. So when I use my calculator to multiply this out, 1, multiply by 0.45, multiply by 0.05. That's going to give me 2.16. So 2.16, 2.16. That's the volume of the concrete I'm going to need. Copy. So concrete is also measured in meter cube. What is measured in meter cube? So the rate of my concrete, I can say, is 100,000. That's the rate of my concrete. So instead of inputting a formula here, I can just drag this down, and it's going to give me the rate, the amount I need for my concrete work, for my blinding. So some people might want to ask how I come about this way. You might want to ask how I came about this. Now there is a rate we usually use. Most of the time we even decide to add the workmanship. Yeah, the workmanship is not included here, but I can decide to add it. But I just decide to okay, let me even assume I want to add the workmanship. The work, it will be 110. So I'm going to do for 110 or 120, depending on that. So if we are doing concrete, the way we do concrete work is we've included the material we need and the labor that is going to do the work. So I said this calculation is for blinding. So for my blinding, I've included the cement, I've included the sand, I've included the granite, and I've included the workmanship is going to cost me to do this blinding job. So that is why you have 110. So this amount has catered for every material and workmanship you will need for the job. Probably in another video, I'm going to split this rate and show you how we always come about this rate. So I'm going to split it in one of my videos and show you how the rate is being computed. So after doing the blinding, the next thing we need to do is to set our block work in foundation. After the blinding has dried, probably the next day you can, when the concrete have dried, so we can start your block work. So the C part is block work and foundation. Block work and foundation, meaning the block work that is going to make up my foundation. That's the meaning of block work and foundation. The block work that is going to make up my foundation. Okay, this is C. That's what I say. This is going to be here. So the block work is going to make up my foundation. Just, I think it will be better. Let it just be like that. Then copy from the other side as well. So I can copy this. So I have the block work to be here, block work of 225. I'm going to have a block work in my foundation. Let's look at it again. So the block is going to cover this whole area. So after the blinding, my block work will start from top of the blinding to this top here, to this top here. So this is from the ground floor to the top of my DPC is 600. My DPC is 100 mm. So 600 minus 100, I'll have 500 left. 500. So, and this depth is also 500. I've done a blinding of 50 mm. So remaining 450, right? Anyway, so 450 plus 500 will be the depth of my block. So 450 plus 500. I hope you understand that. So you can watch the video again to understand how I did it. So I will have 450 left here, and 500, that's 950. Is sum of 950. So the height of my block work here is 950. Yes. Okay, I have 950, and the length is still going to cover the whole length of the foundation. It's still going to cover the whole length. So our block is measured in area. So if I multiply together from my calculator, that is 96.1, then multiply by 0.95. So I'm going to have 91.3. That's 91.3. 1.3. So block work is measured in square meter. You can write meter square or square meter. So the rate for block work is 75. So let me just make it 76 plus 7650 plus the workmanship. Let me just make it that 7650. Just like I said in another video, I'm going to do split on how. So this rate include, okay, let me just add this first and before I explain that. So the amount I'm going to spend on block work on the foundation is 698,445,000. 698,445,000. And this sum has included the number of blocks you are going to use, the cement you are going to use, the sand you are going to use, and the workmanship. So this rate has included everything. So I said in one of my videos, I'm going to split on how how I came about this rate. I'm going to split so you understand better. So after the block work, after the block work and foundation, you might decide to fill this block and have a column starter point. So in the previous one that I did, I have a column starter, so a basket and a starter for the columns, but I'm not going to be doing that in this video, so it won't get much and boring. So after the block work, the next thing I need to do is backfilling. So from the drawing, look at it. We excavated this area. So and we've erect our block here. I said you can calculate for the overfilling. So we need to backfill this area. So backfill does not have a natural. You can just assume a provisional sum for it. So I think I'm going to leave that of the backfilling. Just go to the cavity filling. So this area, this is the ground level. So you erected this block beyond the ground level, so you are going to need to fill this area before having your slab on it. So I'm going to stop at the slab. So you are going to fill this area with laterite or filling sand or any material that is suitable and is available for your filling. So I'll just make it filling of cavity. So let me title it filling of cavity. I'm not going to be doing for backfilling. Filling of cavity. So filling of cavity. So I can put it and underline it. I don't want to put all this note again, so it won't take our time. So just label it filling of cavity. So how do I know the area I'm going to fill, the volume of what I'm going to fill? So it is always area and the depth. Area and the depth. So it is always area and the depth. So I can just go to my drawing. You are going to fill all those places. So what I do is just to calculate all this area. Probably I'm going to calculate this area alone, calculate all this area, then multiply by the depth. I already know the depth to be, this is the depth of what I'm going to fill. The depth is going to be 500 because I have a slab of 100 mm on it. So the slab is going to be 500. The depth is going to be 500 mm rather. And the area, let me pick it from what I have before. The area, let's say, okay, the area is 127 square meter. So 127 square meter, 127 square meter, 127 square meter, then multiply by this volume. So calculator. So 127 square meter multiply by this depth in meter, so it's going to be 0.5. So I'm going to have 63.5 meter cube. 63.5. and have this here. So from this, I have 63.5 ton meter cube. So I can convert this to tonnage. So I know the density of the sand I want to use. Let me use density of sharp sand now, which is 1600 kilogram per meter cube. I know the volume already. So the volume multiplied by the density, I'm going to have, let me use my calculator. So 63 then multiply by 1600 16 what's going on? So 0 equals to, then divided by 1000. So this is 101.6. 101.6. Then the unit now will be ton. So I've converted my filling sand to ton. Now when we want to buy sand, we buy in ton. You don't buy in meter cube, buy in ton or trip. So if you want to buy sand and you say you want to buy meter cube from this part of the world, nobody will understand. You buy in tonnage or you buy in trips. So I've decided to convert this to ton. So a per ton is presently for filling sand or maybe sharp sand is 200,000 per 30 ton. So if 130 ton is 200,000, then 1 ton will be what? So for my calculator again, if 1 ton is, let me assume it is 200,000 and 30 ton, then 1 ton will be, let's say 67. So that is 667. So plus the filling, the people that will do the filling. So let me say it's going to be 7,000. You understand? It's 7,000. I can really bring this down. So the total, this is the filling. So we've calculated the volume of the filling, and from this place we've converted it to tonnage, and from the tonnage we've computed the rate, and we've gotten the total amount we are going to. So this amount includes the amount we are going to buy the sand from, and we are going to the workmanship is also there. So this is 101 ton. So 101 ton, that is how many trips? That's how many trips. So if I have 101.6, let's say I'm buying at 30 ton. So 101.6, I think this is easier for me than pointing it. So divided by 30, if I'm buying per 30 ton, so meaning I need 3.5 30 ton truck to fill this foundation. I need 3.5 to fill the areas of this foundation. So that is that about the filling of cavity. So after the filling of cavity, you are going to compact. So let's say assume that the compaction is part of the preliminary, and the provision of DPM also is part of the preliminary. So here, after the compaction, let me go back to my point. So after the filling of this area and the compaction, you need to provide your reinforcement, but in this case I provided a wire mesh. So you need to provide your wire mesh. If you are going to measure in area, wire mesh is measured in area, and then you provide for your concrete. So let me leave the wire mesh part out of it. You are going to calculate your wire mesh. So let me just explain it. We know the area of this part already, which is 127. So you are just going to buy your wire mesh, your 6 mm, 8 mm, depending on the specification. So you're depending on the specification given. So you buy your wire mesh in area. So let me go to the concrete. Let me go to the concrete. So the slab is 100 mm thickness. It is 100 mm. When you check from this section, my slab is 100 mm. Then the area, and even I'm using AutoCAD, I will just calculate the area easily from AutoCAD. But you calculate the area of all this area you are going to be having your slab on this area for. Exactly, it's going to be better for here. The area you want to go. So from what I have before, I have my area to be 147, 145 square meter, and the depth of my slab to be 100 mm. So if I do that in my calculator, that's 145 multiplied by 0.1. I'll be having 14.5 meter cube. So I have 14.5 meter cube, and the mix ratio I'm using here is 1:4. Let me check the mix ratio I used for the previous one. I have it here. Okay, it's not there. The mix ratio I used for this is 1:4. So my casting, I can just say 1 1 and bring this down. So this covers for the total work I need for my concrete job. It covers the cement. So I have it here already, but you actually don't need this. We don't put this, so I just use this to do the calculation. So this weight, I have 14.5 meter cube of concrete, and per meter cube of concrete I said is 110,000, and the total cost I'm going to need for that slab work is 1.6 million. So this cost also has included the labor, the cement, the sand, the granite, and everything you need for the casting. So I think that will be where I'll stop for this, because I said I will be doing for the foundation alone. So after the slab, we are done with the substructure. So any work we are doing above here is superstructure. Any work we are doing above here is superstructure. So let me just assume I've done for the whole job and I want to sum everything together. So I can just input my formula here. And I'm going to pick from the start. Okay, let me just pick for anything that is included in this section. In case you have multiple work, so anything you have there should be brought down to this part. So everything you have there should be brought down to this part. So I'm having a sum of 3,807,000 and some denomination as the sum I need for the job. No. The amount, or I can see the sum. So the amount. So I have this. So I have this as a total rate I need for the job. So if you check up, the reason why I have this is if you are having a multiple work after the end of the first bill, you carry it to summary. After the end of the second bill like this, I can just copy this and carry it to summary again and sum everything together. You understand? What I mean is I can copy this, and at the end of this B2, at the end of this B2 here, you can paste it here and add for B2 alone. Okay, let me assume I want to add for B2 alone. Summation. So B2 start from here, so I can add this. You start from here and drag it down. Enter. So I have that bit. Then I can now bring the total sum to. So I have this for. I can put it and decide to increase it. So I have this for B2. I have this for B1. So 500 plus 3.3. So I can just come to my summary and have my 500, then what do I have there? 3307 345 3307 345. Okay, so this is my summary. And I can decide to print and give to my client. So that is the end of this video. I hope you've learned something new today. So I said this, the video is on how to prepare a bill of quantity, and with this I've made justice to how you can prepare for preliminary work. You can estimate for, but you cannot include it in the bill of quantity. And we've done justice to the excavation, which has a major job in foundation work, excavation, the concrete and blinding, the block work, the filling, the cavity, the slab work. So in case you have enforcement, I can do that in another video, probably for suspended block, and do the bill of quantity. So this bill of quantity just covers this foundation work, just cover the whole of this small foundation work, just cover for this job alone.